maybe not.
All right, we are recording.
All set. Okay. I'd like to call the meeting of the Library Board Strategic Planning Committee meeting to order. It is 5:02 according to my watch. Okay. Could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call, please, Brittany.
All right. Gail,
I'm here.
Michelle,
Here.
Camille.
Here.
We are also joined by Elka Saylor, head of reference.
All right.
And I feel like I'm missing a page from this document. Do you guys, it looks like we have the meeting minutes and not the,
Oh, yeah, there's no minutes.
there's no agenda.
I've got 3 blank pages. Yeah, I got blank pages.
That's exciting.
So the copier was not
The copier
in
did
Haven as my
very
niece
bizarre
used to
things.
say.
It added this size paper with it. Okay, so that's
What?
yeah, I know. I can't even explain it.
Can you put the online version up on the screen?
I can.
That's probably the only way to.
You cannot minimize while you're recording this meeting. Well, that's okay. Let me think here for a second. All right, I'm going to pause this recording. That's fine because we're recording it via there. So you cannot minimize when you're recording, but I'm not recording. Stop. Okay. Pause.
Can you just
Okay.
open up another window?
So yep. So here we go. Let's get.
Do we have to have the Zoom on if we're not using it?
It's open to the public as well, so I did technically advertise that people could review it that way. Otherwise, yeah. So I apologize. I'd be happy to go try to print off new copies, if that would be.
We were talking about how everybody experiencing their own gremlins, it seems, in their lives. That there's something going on with everybody's got something going on. Strange.
I don't need a hard copy.
No,
I wanted to.
Yeah, it's just thing we can just view it up here and it'll be.
Okay.
At some point, I probably should have one for my records, but certainly don't need one now. Okay. All right. I think we're looking for the statement of public notice.
This meeting was noticed in accordance with the open meeting law.
Thank you, Brittany. Looking for any members of the public to comment. Seeing none, we move on to the approval of the minutes.
I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? No? Okay, we're pretty straightforward. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Chairperson's report. I have nothing. I will defer to the director. We will go to unfinished business, which is a discussion of the strategic plan 20 to 23. Is that the old agenda? That's
Yep.
gotta be.
Sorry. Yep. That's still the old
Yeah,
agenda.
like,
So
that doesn't sound right. I think we did that already.
It's
We
true.
need-
Thank
we're
goodness.
looking now for a discussion of the 2021 library capital budget.
all right.
That's not in here. I bet.
And
Oh, wait a
that-
minute, it's here.
Yep, so that will
That we
be
have.
packet page 4. In theory, you should all have, but if you don't, I do have a page from here. Do you have that?
I have it, yeah.
Okay, great. So I will also pull that up here as well so that we have it on the screen. This is why we have this technology, right? To try to make use of it. Oops. And forgive me, this is my first time running a meeting using this screen and Zoom at the same time. So,
There you go.
okay. And let's just move me up there. Okay. So this document is going to look identical to the one that was in the June library board packet for the first preview, with the exception of a few numbers. And I have, just as of this afternoon, received a few more updated numbers. So as we go through these line items, I will sort of hand out those documents and explain them to you. The carpeting and flooring project. Do all of you have a colorful copy with some yellow? DL, I think yours is underneath. Yep. Okay. So this document was in the packet that you received, but it has some updated numbers. Okay. So I'm just going to very briefly go over option 1. So option 1 was that staff would move, we would rent carts, staff would take the books off the carts, or take the books off the shelves. Somebody would take down and move the shelves, and then we would store the carts somewhere and the shelving somewhere, hopefully in the meeting rooms if we could fit it, and then the carpeting company would come in and move the entire, and carpet the entire area. The number that you had in your meeting packet was, for this, I didn't quite have full numbers, so let me just, let's get down to carpet, there we go. The number at the time that I had was $17,156, plus whatever it would cost for a company to undrill the shelves from the cement floor, plus the intangible costs. This number, I received an updated number this morning. It is no longer $17,156. It is $21,096. So if you look at that number, if you think about that number being 21,000, and that changes these numbers down here. So basically, just looking at your new packet, you'll see my math that 21,000 in direct and indirect costs compared to the option where they just lift the shelves up for 25,000. That's only a $4,000 difference, and then we avoid the injury risk to staff. We avoid having the construction timeline be 9 weeks instead of much less than that. The collection would have to be completely offline in this option because we'd have to pack them up and shove them into the meeting room. So there's no way we'd be able to access the media or the adult collection. So to me, and frankly, that $4,000 savings between the shelf lifting and option 1, that's not even a correct number because I don't know what it would cost to get somebody to come in and undrill the shelves. I talked to DPW to see if I could use maintenance or DPW as a resource, and I can't. They said the liability on that, they would want somebody to come in and accept that.
Savings and staff time and all that kind of thing too. That I think in another proposal was around $4,000 or something too. So that's it's a wash.
Yeah. So the 21,000 is taking into account the 7,600 that I've calculated in staff time or productivity loss, but that plus the carts, the 11,800 for the carts, the estimate of 1,600 for the company to take down the shelves, and then whatever the cost would be to unscrew the ranges. It's not even going to be 21,000. It will be something more than that, 22, 23. It's just.
I'm sorry. Forgive me if you said this because I was kind of looking at everything at the time. Why did it go up from the 17,156 to the 21,096 if you still need cost company hired to drill an intangible cost?
Yeah, I made an estimate on what it would cost to rent the carts, and I had thought the carts would be.
So the cart number came in.
The cart number came in, and apparently my math and their math were different.
I guess.
Which is unfortunate because their math is. I like my math better at the time. So that I just don't see any value. I kept trying to get a good number from the professional library mover who came in to give me because they would be the ones renting us the carts. And at one point, I just thought this quote was very striking. He said, "I can't even fathom doing it this way." And for a smaller collection like the children's area, that worked fine because we had the great room where we could move those smaller shelves. We had much more time to do the project. We were going to be out of the children's area for a long time, so we had to set up a new circulation location. But the adult collection and the teen area and the media can't fit in the great room to recirculate. So in all ways, we can't do that project like we did the children's area. So That was option 1. Option 2, so on the second page of your colorful packet, that number made me fall out of my chair, although I was expecting it, so I don't even think we need to discuss it. It is by far the most expensive option, and the intangible issues of still having the collection offline just don't even make it worth considering.
Plus, what's the potential damage to the books and the trailers? I guess that thought crossed my mind too.
Yeah.
If they're saying that it can get up to 150 degrees,
Yeah, he said he has never received feedback that they've had issues, but he did want to mention, he used very specific phrasing. He said, we've stored books in trailers if we've had to. Wasn't exactly a ringing endorsement for that idea.
And it might not hurt the books, but it would definitely hurt the media.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Option 3 is the carpet company would lift the shelves up with the books or media on it, and then they would carpet underneath. And so the additional costs there, $25,000 added to the base cost, the base $91,245. Certainly that option is better than option 2 and better than option 1. And it makes the project go a lot faster, and it makes the collection still accessible in certain portions, right? They would do it in sections, so as long as...
Very dumb question. I've just got to ask you before you get too deep into this. If you had to unscrew the shelves in option 1, how do they lift them without unscrewing them first?
So they will still have to unscrew the shelves, but the carpet company is willing to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I thought they were like literally yanking them out. And then
Yeah,
like potential... Okay,
The
I'm
carpet...
sorry to interrupt, but that,
No,
that
that's
was
okay.
kind of a critical
Yeah,
question. So,
the
okay.
DPW and maintenance can't do that work. The library moving company said they were not willing to assume that risk. The carpet company was game on to assume that risk. So,
And do they typically carpet libraries?
yes,
Okay, so...
yes. So that option is desirable on a couple fronts, and then option 4.
I'm sorry.
Yep, that's okay.
You said in addition to the 92,000 something or other, what are you meaning by that?
That's the cost of the carpet.
Oh, the carpet. Okay.
Yeah. It's a little confusing the way I have it set up, and so I wanted to at the beginning say, no matter what, the carpet and the installation is going to cost or at least $91,245. So all of these options are, what do we do so that we can move the shelves and books to actually get that carpet down?
So then for 2021, the 116,363 in the capital plan is adding this number to the carpet number? Is that?
It's adding the 91,245 to, I picked option 3, because
Yeah.
that's the option I'm recommending.
So, 1, 2, 4, 5. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And option 4 is carpeting around the shelves, and it's not quite around the shelves. What the company would do is they would unscrew the bottom plate, they would remove it, and they would carpet a little bit underneath that plate without unscrewing the shelves, and then refasten the plate back. So it's not quite as bad as picturing like having a seam coming up right to the shelf. That would be even worse in my opinion. So you'll notice for option 4 additional costs total, I don't have a number for that. And that's a really tricky one to estimate. I ran out of time in all of the conversations I've been having this week with vendors in the last couple of weeks, in addition to we've had staff in and out, and we've had to work extra shifts at the desk. And vendors are taking longer to get back because everything takes longer. So this number I wasn't able to get, and I'm trying to figure out how to estimate it. So the only additional cost, if they're quote carpeting around, would be needing to buy additional, they call it attic stock carpet. And the recommendation there is, if we were to choose to go this route, and if we were to move the shelves at any point or take down certain shelves to make more space, we would want to be able to fill in the gaps where we didn't carpet underneath.
Which makes a pattern carpet a problem.
Right. Well,
because then you have to fussy cut, as it's called in sewing, your carpet to make it match if you can.
Right. And so the attic stock is beneficial because if you don't buy attic stock, then maybe you can still buy the new carpet. Maybe you can't, right? If we get a funky pattern or something they don't sell anymore, then we'd really be in trouble. The purpose for the attic stock is that you hopefully have enough of it to fill in those gaps of the same carpet and then of the same dye lot. Because you could order the same carpet 10 years down the road, but it's a different dye lot, and then it's still going to look really funky. And even not wearing.
I think it would still be a problem because one's going to be newer looking than the other one that's had foot traffic too. I mean,
True.
Even if you had the same dye lot, I think you might see some issues. It would be a lot closer, I'm sure, but
yeah, and to be fair, if you lift up the shelves, or if you lift up the shelves and put carpet underneath, and then later remove some shelves, there's going to be a difference in fading anyway.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Foot traffic, anything. I mean, it's
Right.
going to change the look of it versus a new piece anyway.
The concern that I have about this part is, so I talked to the carpet company and said, yeah, we could patch it in, but I kept hearing a lot of words like patching and cutting to fit and trying to remove, not just one tile, but all better tiles around it to try to have less cutting. And it just sounded very like Frankenstein's monster.
It's another fussy cutting job.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but I didn't want to just take their word for it. They said, yes, we're capable of doing it, but also consider, so right now, if we're thinking between 3 and 4, 3 costs $25,000, 4 costs whatever the attic stock is. So let's say that costs $2,000. We'd have to store that carpet somewhere, and we do not have a lot of space to store pallets of carpet. Even if we could find that space, imagine having to hire a company to come back and patch it later. That's a cost that maybe we've kicked down the road, but it's still a cost that we would have to attribute to the project, whatever that would be. The other concern that I have with this is I shot it out not only to our system, but to the entire state. I emailed the entire state of libraries. We have a listserv. And I said, who has done this? Did it work? And what long-term were the results of the carpeting job? And I received 21 replies. 3 people said, yeah, we carpeted around and it worked fine. And then all the rest of them, I didn't do 18 quotes because I thought that was kind of beating a horse. But they were not recommending that option. And it came down to keeping the collection available, that patching it was not quite as simple or it looked as well as they would have hoped. The flexibility for the future, the quality issues. I kept hearing about peeling and patching and unable to match the old carpet. And then the last quote, it was a nightmare, was kind of, it's like, oh. And everyone has their own unique experiences, which is why I wanted to talk to more than one library director. But the totality or the ratio of people recommending it versus not was pretty much in favor of, if there's any way you can do it, if you can afford to do it, if you can do it, this is the better option. So,
in option 3, forgive me again, you said it. Does the company, have they done this before? Where they lift the shelves?
They have done it before.
They have done it
Yep.
before. How do they get the equipment in the library? I'm assuming it's a not scaffolding, what am I thinking? A hydraulic lift of some kind or something? How do they get it in the building? Where does it come in?
Yeah, it's a great question. I should have brought the video. So back before things went funky, when I was on maternity leave, Brookfield Public Library did this exact job. And Michelle I had asked her to go over to the library before I left on maternity leave. I'm sorry. I'm pointing towards the empty Michelle desk over there. She took some video, but basically they look like little, what's the word I'm looking for?
Forklifts?
Little forklifts, that's a perfect, yeah. And you can't just have one, so they would put one here, they'd put one towards the middle of the shelf frame and one towards the end, and then they put 3 on the other side.
So they're not manned?
They are.
remote?
Well, they winch it up, or it's a hydraulic lift, whatever it is, but they stick basically 6 of them on the ends and in the middle, and then and then they clamp it. They clamp it to the shelves, and then it lifts it up, I don't know why I have to stand to describe
And we,
this, but it just felt
and we
important.
have enough ceiling clearance in all spots for them to lift it up enough to get the carpet.
Oh, yeah.
underneath.
Yeah, because basically what
They
they
don't
do
lift
is
it
they
that high.
they roll it to the side.
Mhm.
They don't necessarily have to carpet right underneath. They just roll it to the side.
Mhm.
And so,
Those were my big, because I had pictures of a big scaffolding, like, there's no, we don't have any big doors anywhere, I don't
Yeah.
think, do we?
No, we don't.
Like a loading dock type
no,
thing?
and you can't take down the middle bar between our front doors. Otherwise, we'd have more clearance. But
So
yeah.
where are they coming in from?
Well, you can still fit. These things
Oh,
will
they
come
would
through.
fit.
Yep, these
Okay.
things will come through standard doors. I was just thinking of larger things that
Mm-hmm.
we'd ever want to get in and out. Have to punch a hole in the wall. So, this is based, that 116,000 is based on one carpet company, the one that we used for the back staff area and the public meeting rooms. I did also just recently get in touch with another carpet company because this is one company who says this is what they can do. Now, obviously, we'd want to go with the cheapest cost. So I'm just seeing if potentially they could do it for less. I don't think they can based on the feedback they gave me, but
I feel so dense here, but the carpet company and the lifters are two different companies.
no, same company.
So this second company would also lift the shelves?
Yep, they're just a competitor. I wanted to get a sort of a competitive bid. I'm going to talk with the city attorney because I'm trying to figure out if we should take this project to bid or not. So public bidding is typically done for construction, public construction. That's what it's required for. And of course, we can do it whenever, but public construction is a requirement. And so the question is carpet installation considered public construction or is it not? So for the children's area, that was construction, right? So we did have to take that to bid. For this one, I'm not sure. So I have to talk with him again.
Because you're not adjusting spaces.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
You are, I mean, was that vertically? But like
Yeah.
we actually knocked down walls and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff for the children's area, so
Right.
this wouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
that way.
So I'm gonna-
Interesting answer.
Yeah, it is going to be an interesting
Did you guys
answer.
have 3 bids then? For,
So for a project like this, if we didn't have to take it to bid, the city recommends 3 informal quotes. So I have one for the purposes of requesting the money. If I got 2 more, and they ended up being higher, well, I have my lowest.
I'm sorry,
Bid.
I was talking about the formal bid process.
For the formal bid, you just put it out there,
And see who
if you
shows up.
only get one bid,
Okay.
there they are. There's no it doesn't cancel the project if you
Mm-hmm.
only get one bid. So, right now this is a number. If we get numbers that are higher, well, we know who we need to go with. If we get numbers that are lower, we're not locked into this number. Then great, the city just saved some money because I found someone lower. So I am curious to see what the other company says, because of course there's, as you can see, a lot of logistics to this project, and some companies may do it differently. So, but for the purposes of requesting the money, I feel like we at least have a number we can pursue, and we have an idea of how the project should go. So,
One additional question, then I want to make sure that you guys have your input here. The 116,363, how does that compare to previous capital, where you've gone to the board and this was a couple of years down the road? Are we still close with that number? Do you remember what it is? I think we're pretty close, if I remember right, to, let's say if you went to the board last year, this number would have been, what, 1 column down from what it is now?
yeah, I'm trying to think. I believe I had this number. I believe this number was same for last year. It definitely grew a bit from when it was put in 5 years ago.
So no big surprise here,
I don't think so.
depending
For
on.
some reason, I'm thinking 120,000. That's
Was
the
it?
number that.
And I had 117 in my head, so
Okay.
go figure. But
Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking 120.
Michelle, you have no.
Or was it your?
I think we initially had 150 for recarpeting everything, and then 30 went to kids.
That's what it was. We ended up breaking it down
Yeah.
because we ended up instead of doing the project, the entire library at once, we broke it out to staff area, the public meeting rooms, kids. So I honestly don't remember.
So that's where the 120 I'm thinking of is that would be
We
coming.
had
That-
spent
that
the
makes
30.
sense.
Yeah, okay.
I will say the one thing. So 116,363. That is the number he said, and he said it would be good through next year. So if we end up going with him, we shouldn't see a surprise with that. That being said, it may be wise for me to pad it just by a couple thousand,
Yeah.
just in case. That's a pretty exact number. It doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room. So I may end up recommending we just add just a couple thousand. And of course, I would never use beyond what what we need. So yeah, so that's
And in
carpeting.
2022, what's the final 65, 68?
In 2022, that's the circulation area.
Ah.
That would be the last remaining chunk of carpet. We're not doing it with this part because in theory, in 2022, the circulation desk will be new. And so it makes sense to time those projects together. Just like we're hopefully going to time the reference desk, new reference desk installation with the recarpeting. So those projects would have to be done in tandem, or they should be done, in my opinion.
Okay, I monopolize that conversation. You guys have any questions, or?
It's complicated, honestly. Like,
It's a lot of work for what seems to be the standout option, but I don't know what you're thinking.
Which option? you mean?
Yeah,
I think it makes sense. Option 3, I think, makes the most sense to
Yeah.
me.
you agree, Michelle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any
Yeah.
questions, or
I think that just makes the most sense.
no questions, no?
I think it's good just all the way around, you know, the price,
Well,
whatever
it
is
just-
comparable with not as much work on staff. They can just lift those things
Yeah, I think the
up.
unfortunate thing is there's so many things wrong with the other ones. It's kind of like, that this
Yes.
seems to be the one by default that
Yes.
is the best one.
Yep.
Okay, what do you need from us? Anything?
well, let's go through the other capital projects, I think, because these are not itemized out in our agenda. It's just discussion of this, so we'll go through the rest of them.
What, are we ready to close that topic, everybody?
Anything
Yeah.
else about carpeting? So yeah, I think that the recommendation that it sounds like we can move on is option 3. And I would imagine, given that the board has seen all these options before, my plan was to show them these options again, just because I know some other board members had some questions. The goal, of course, is not to undo the work that's done in strategic planning committee, because it's a waste of time to have this meeting exactly again in the full board. But I do know what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to take this full packet and I'm going to condense it down to option 1 would cost this, option 2 would cost this, not with all this other detail.
Okay.
And then if they have questions, I can answer that.
Okay.
But I think ultimately what they'd be curious about is how did all the options shake out, and then what is the recommendation that we have, having had this this discussion. And so that's what I'll probably do. And then, like I said, I may recommend just a couple thousand padding just to make sure that I haven't painted us into a corner where, because things come up in projects. So,
Absolutely. Usually they say build 10% in.
Right. And I will say that I did bring these numbers before the head of the city's finance director this morning, Sharon, just to give her a little preview, right? So that, because she sees all the projects in context of the larger city finance and what she sees coming down the road. So what I wanted to gauge from her was, like, if she looked at this and went, I can tell you right now, there's a big problem, then I would have, obviously, wouldn't want to waste time by bringing forth something that doesn't.
Sure.
But she did not say that to me. So I'm not certain, because she's getting capital plans from other departments as well. But there wasn't an automatic rejection. So there's at least the potential that all of these could go through. Nothing has changed for the public furniture. I have not tweaked that document at all from when we met at the June meeting. So, as a reminder, initially the idea for public furniture was supposed to be to redo the meeting room chairs, but they are in adequate condition. I don't have any concerns about them, and I think our money could be better spent addressing the ADA accessible furniture. So these are, it's not public construction, so we're not tied to any, replacing some of the furniture doesn't obligate us to then make all the changes that came in that report. But when I talked to the library system person who's in charge of accessibility, or she's the expert in accessibility, one of the things she recommended was, now you know about it, right? And so if you keep a spreadsheet and you're tracking the things that you've done to make changes, if someone were to ever say, like, hey, your library's not accessible, you can point to the progress that you've made and that you're working towards it. And effort in working towards it is 9/10 of the law, so to speak. So I think it's important for us to, we made a bit of a start with our great room furniture because that's ADA accessible. And Michelle went to that, Michelle Hansen went to that conference, and she received a $900 grant as a result to use towards accessibility.
Excellent.
And so we're going to get some new furniture for the study rooms, so that will be accessible. So we can already point to several things that we've done, and then with this project in 2020, we've prioritized the major service points that aren't currently accessible. And I think that will go a long way towards making our library more accessible. So nothing has changed here. Just going to continue to recommend that $16,000 for those pieces of furniture. Anything about that project?
I just got to ask, at the 47 or 46.5 in 2023, why would that one jump up?
So that
Is that
so
part
public
of the redesign?
Excuse me. Public furniture is just a general line item, so it's. Oh, let me think here. What was I doing?
It's no big if you don't know. I just thought because it's 16, and then all of a sudden it bumps up. So
What am I doing?
Is that the meeting room chairs?
Maybe I pushed that.
Or
Yeah.
is it in here?
I can't remember.
It's
That's
okay.
awful, you guys. I can't remember.
It's
There's a
okay.
reason. I mean, the number's very exact. I clearly,
yes,
I clearly
exactly.
have- I will. I'm going to make a note of that, Gail. I'll update you all
it's
at the July meeting next week.
Not a worry. Just was thinking you would know offhand. So
The Brittany of the past knew. If we can trust her with anything.
I do it all the time, but I get great hair. See, that's
Yeah, I think I've gotten a few from this whole experience.
That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, I'll get you that info next week.
No worries, really. We've got plenty of other things going on.
Okay, anything else about the public furniture for 2021? All right, so young adult redesign. So that is the colorful document you have. Per the luck of my life today, you'll notice that if you go inside, if you open it to the inside, it is upside down.
Oh, yes, it is.
So, that's just a printer setting. I was clearly moving quickly, so apologies for that. Just, stand on your head or turn it upside down, whichever you feel more excited about doing. I will try to bring this up. Okay, so as you recall, this project was... it was in the books for 2018, and then the city didn't quite have enough funds to distribute for this project. And in 2019, we decided, to really make a case for this because we wanted to go big. The area's been neglected, and so we were doing a strategic planning process in 2019 anyway. So we took the opportunity to do a teen survey, to put a question in the community survey about whether or not the community would want to prioritize this project over other projects. We did a needs assessment where we just studied the teens from afar without being creepy to see how they used the space or how they didn't use the space or where else they went and why did they go to the study rooms when they could go to the teen area. Well, and then we sort of identified those what they were missing from that space that would make that space more advantageous to them. And all of that data went into this report. Is that word spelled wrong? Is there supposed to be 2 T's in allotment?
No,
Yes, I think so.
No, I
Is that
think it's
spelled
2 L's and 1 T.
Okay.
I'll look it
I
up real
think
quick.
so, but yeah, spell check always works.
Just looked a little. So
Could be wrong.
So the goal of this project is to get comfortable furniture, better lighting, creative study spaces, and better technology. Right now it has none of that. I am going to pass around an updated document I have here.
One teeth.
One tea? All right. Well, my eyeballs are lying to me on that then. So I received an updated number this afternoon from someone else, which changed the number here. But as you can see, the majority of the expense comes from the furniture. And it makes sense. Right now what's back there is one wooden table, a green nasty couch, and then 2 tall tables that nobody sits at. So it definitely needs some investment there. The shelving is, we're actually going to bump out the space a little bit, give them a little bit more room into the great room. And we're going to put some lower shelving there. It will allow us to expand the collection a bit and have collection that's facing outward, so as they're approaching, they'll be able to see pieces of the collection. It's also going to frame the space a bit better and allow us to set up some booth seating on the other side of it. So it helps frame the space, which will be important. The privacy and sound absorption screens. I'm leaving the room for a second because I should have, you know what, I bet I can pull it up on the computer. I'm not used to having this. This is pretty cool. I think it's going to be worth every penny. One of the pieces of feedback we got from the teens and our observation was they want a bit more privacy and they want to be able to talk, but they kind of feel like they're in a fishbowl still. Now, not too much privacy, right? We still need to be able to keep a bit of an eye on them, but let's take a look. So Amanda found these really cool things called echo screens, and oh, come on, friend, where are you? Echo. What was that company, Elka?
I don't remember.
I'm going to have to go get the document. I'm sorry. Forgive me. It's worth the 30 seconds it will take for me to grab this document.
Have you heard anything from the school? Not yet. Be an adventure.
I saw something on Channel 12 News, it was at 11 o'clock, I think it came on, and they were talking about that they were, the Milwaukee School Board was meeting, and it seemed, or it appeared, that they were going towards totally virtual learning, at least through the end of the year. It's kind of what they were alluding to. So, but you know what, everything changes 3 times a day, so.
Yeah.
Get a good example here. No, it's not good. Not a great example, but so you can see these are panels that hang on rails, and you can slide them from side to side. So what it does is, if let's say Amanda wants to have a teen program in the teen space, because she has to have them in like meeting room 4. That's not great. That's not, the children can have their programs in the children's area, and that space is designed for them by color, by pattern, by specialized location near the children's collection. So after a program's done, they can walk out, look at the books. it's really unfortunate that there's no way to have a program back there right now. And so what this does is it allows us to have the panels. They can be moved to the side if we want them open. They can be put up if you want the privacy. They're very lightweight. They're only 15 pounds a piece. They're made out of a fabric so that it has sound absorption too. So there's a lot of potential here with these panels to allow the teen area to become a programming space, to give them a little bit of privacy, but also allow us to make it no privacy if we decide we want to.
And it's also direct line of sight from the entry to the library. I mean, because is that where you plan to put it, where it's like directly?
It would be just along the back wall.
Oh, back wall.
Yeah, sort
Okay.
of.
Why would you put it back wall?
Right before the collection, basically.
And this is probably way too early, but what kind of design were you looking to put on it? Like,
Uncertain. Something colorful and reflective of the audience we're trying to cater to. I mean, that's part of the issue that we have, is that it doesn't look like a space for teens. It looks like a place to do genealogy research, which is great for genealogy. But
But
yeah.
It wouldn't necessarily be like, because we were talking about the theme of Muskego, with the cattails and all that kind of stuff. You'd see, could it be a funkier version of that, or are you looking at something totally different?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we sort
It's
of
a little early.
Yeah, haven't
Sure,
quite
maybe
gotten to
so.
that part yet. But it's a cool product, and I think
It looks great.
for the price, the ability to achieve privacy, programming, and sound absorption is pretty good.
Who picks the carpet color pattern, whatever?
Usually it's me and whoever's around me that I can grab. So for the teen area, it'll probably be a slightly more dynamic color. For the main area, I'm not sure.
Is that getting carpeted separately? Or is that being done?
Great question. So
Sorry, are we getting to that?
no. So what I've done is, and that's what bumped the price up a bit. It was, I believe, in the original spreadsheet, it was like $54,000, and now I'm saying $55,884. That's because the carpeting came in a bit higher than I was expecting. So I have two options. I can either include the carpeting in the total line item for the carpeting project, right? If we're planning on doing carpeting in 2021, we would have carpeted that space anyway, even if the teen area didn't need to be done. Or I can add it to the young adult cost line item. I'm probably overthinking this, but go with me here. Obviously, from if you're looking at a project, $46,000 is under $50,000, right? And as we know, when we're looking at numbers, that's why things are selling for $1.99 versus $2, right? So part of me finds it appealing to present to the council, something that's under $50,000. We would have had to do the carpeting project anyway. But on the other hand, the concern that I have is that if there's not enough money to all these projects, it is my recommendation that we prioritize the teen area. That's the project that the public said they wanted from our strategic plan. That's the most return on investment in terms of value and service support to our patrons. I mean, yes, it would be nice to have carpet that's not older and starting to look faded. But if I had to prioritize the value, it's going to be that teen project. So my concern is if I roll the cost of the carpeting into the carpeting project, and then the carpeting project doesn't go,
And then you launch a carpet.
now,
Right.
and I don't want to cause such confusion where I say, well, carpeting's built into the carpeting line item, but if you cancel this project, then this option needs to be exercised in this project. That seems confusing if I were the council to look at those different options. So I feel like I just have to commit to putting it in one place or the other.
To me, this is a project, should include the carpeting, because you wouldn't do a project without doing the carpeting typically, where the number one top line item is a replacement. That's how I would differentiate the two. I
Yeah.
don't know, Michelle, if you agree as well. That's my initial take to throw out here. On the other hand, I understand where you might want to put it into the carpeting because that's what it is, but I see them as two distinctly different things, in my humble opinion.
I do too. Exactly the way Gail worded
Yeah.
it. One's a replacement and one is
Mhm.
a whole project.
Mhm. Michelle?
I agree, it's a discrete project, yeah, for the teen area.
Okay.
But you want to coordinate at the same time the decision-making, right, of the pattern for the great room.
That's a good point.
Versus
Yeah.
the colors for the teen
And
area.
how does that
Versus these
affect-
screen things, I guess that's where my mind was going, like,
Mm-hmm.
we gotta make sure everything.
And how might that affect your top line costs, because they're putting different carpeting in that area than they would in the rest of, I don't know how, well, there's some shelves over there too, especially if you're bumping out,
Mhm.
so how might that, would it be more costly to no, I don't think it would be more costly to separate it out, it's gonna cost either way.
Exactly.
So in terms of the different carpet, because I did talk to a company about that, and they said the only time you'd have a difference is if you pick a carpet that's a different price point. So
Okay.
if and really I've learned way too much about carpet, but when companies have different like tiers of carpeting, and so like if I say, okay, we're going to do carpeting in tier B, then what I would probably tell for the teen area is you may choose from this tier carpeting because this is going to be the same. They may charge us a bit to do the transition from one carpet to the next, depending upon what that is, but they're going to both be tiles, so it's really just them picking the green carpet, and now I'm switching to the confetti carpet or
Well,
whatever.
I'm just thinking about like people who do carpeting for their profession, and when they do a house, the whole house doesn't necessarily have the same carpeting. So yeah, if you're picking from that same tier, it doesn't cost anything extra to stop the carpeting here to put a different carpeting from there, as long as we're saying it's in the same price point.
You do bring up an interesting point, though, that probably shouldn't matter, because he quoted me the cost of the teen carpet separate from the cost of the other portion of the project. Sometimes like electricians do trip charges, like once I'm out here,
Okay.
So he didn't indicate that it would necessarily cost any, that in theory I could do the project separately. Like, so picture a scenario where the big carpeting project doesn't get funded. We still need the carpeting company to come out and do this smaller portion of the project.
Yeah.
But he quoted it me as a separate quote, so I would imagine he would have considered that.
I think the transition is an interesting point as well, because if the two carpets clash, then I can't imagine one next to the other without some kind of, if I put this here, I'm not saying this is the best transition for that, but because we want this to be their area too.
Well, think about this though, because I was thinking about that exactly, and actually one of the things Amanda said was, I may just want the same carpet that you have in the great room. She didn't actually have a strong opinion about that. I was actually the one saying, no, we need a different piece of carpet to actually show the distinction between the two spaces. The thing to think about is we actually don't have a transition at all between the children's area carpet and our current carpet. Now, of course, we're always planning on switching up this carpet, but whatever it's going to be, it's not going to be what that children's carpet is. So there's already going to be a crazy shift between the more reserved carpet of the great room and then the colorful pattern extravaganza that is the children's area. And that has worked. The other thing is, because we're getting that lower shelving to help define the space, that is a great, again, marker of the shift between carpets.
Sure.
So you're walking up to these shelves and you see the regular carpet, and then you move to the other side and all of a sudden, whatever carpet we choose, if we choose a different carpet, that's going to sort of be the nice part about that lower shelving. So that will help create that transition.
What I was going to say is the difference, I think, and the reason it works in the children's area is because of the walls or the glass partition. I mean, so I don't think people are necessarily looking for it in the carpet, but if you didn't have something in that area, because it's wide open right now, I can see where if you went from one carpet to the other, that might be...
It'd be jarring if it wasn't done correctly.
Yeah.
And so I think the shelving will help with that. Even if it didn't, there's all sorts of other things we could play around with. Like we could do... let's just say it's this carpet. I'm not saying it's going to be. Let's say this carpet's in the great room, and then you can have sort of a solid strip of one color,
That's
and
exactly what I
then
was thinking.
transition to the
That's
next.
way you
So
do it. Yeah.
we can definitely play around with it. But you're right. We're going to have to think about the colors and how those will all connect.
So would those screens hang above the shelving, the lower shelving?
It's gonna hang. You know where the green strip is with all the authors' names on it?
Yeah.
The railing installation is going to be right underneath that piece of overhang.
Okay.
So it'll just run along that piece of drywall. And I talked with maintenance, and George said that it's possible to put the railing in there. We would need to. I'm just remembering a conversation from this morning. We would need to get a contractor to do the railing install. So I actually do. I forgot I needed to do that. I need to see what it would cost to put that railing in. I don't think it would be that expensive. If I can get it in time before Tuesday, I'll try to fold it into this. If I can't imagine it's more than a couple $1,000s. I'm going to reach out to the contractor that did the children's area because we don't even need to take that project to bid. It's going to be far under. We don't need to even get 3 quotes. That's just can you do this? So I'll talk with him. It can always be something that comes out of like library equipment in our operating budget. If for some reason I can't fold it in time, I may just add a little bit onto this one as well. I forgot that I needed to add that. Contractor for railing install.
And so the screens can be put up and taken down at will, or would they always be hanging there? I'm just trying to picture how. Like, do you mind if I draw anything?
Yeah, please
Like,
do.
So okay, we've got the great room, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, we haven't been in here in a while.
Great room. And then youth area's back here, right?
Mhm,
So
yep.
we've got shelves right now. And then is that open area? And then are there more youth shelves?
Yep,
I'm
there
trying
are.
to picture.
Yep, good memory.
And so low shelves would be like here.
They'd be bumped out a bit. There's actually going to be some space. It's going into the great room. We're extending the teen area a bit, so.
So this would be open space in here?
Yeah.
And then the booths.
Yeah, let me.
If you don't mind, I'm not trying to be overly picky. I'm just trying to picture where these things would
Yeah,
be. I think they're a great idea, but are they going to be, if they're there all the time, is that breaking up the space in a weird way?
Plus, there's really no place to really hide them. They're always going to be there.
Yeah.
Whether they're pushed back or
I
not.
guess that's all I was trying to finish.
So here's a great example, and so this is what it would look like. So they could be moved to one side and layered on top of each other to sort of open up like kind of a barn door, but they'd layer on top of each other. Now, in theory, if we decided it was the biggest mistake that was ever made in this library, they could be taken down, if they end up not working.
But they're not meant to be. It's put up and
It
taken
reminds
down.
me like in a big
Right.
room in a hotel, or like, when you go to, what's the one in Waukesha, I can't think of it right offhand. But, where you can.
Like make 2 conventions.
Yeah, I can't,
versus-
words are failing me,
Yeah.
but,
And this is sort of an example.
it's-
That's the lower
But
shelving.
these are always
the
gonna be
booths,
visible.
And then here's the teen area. Now picture there's a ceiling here, and so these things would hang right here. So you can see there's a bit of space between the initial outer study areas and then the things that would go like right here.
That's what I was trying to figure.
Yeah, it's
Because we're hoping to make that area where those privacy screens are, a seating area with a TV where they can play games and stuff like that.
So
So
this
that
is-
would,
And it's only for teens?
maybe we could rent it out on. Yeah, so here's the shelves, here's the booths, here's where the privacy screens would hang right here.
Oh, okay, so just in that little.
Yeah, just in this one section, and
Thank
then
you,
the
this is
TV
just
would.
what I
Yeah,
wanted to
I'm so
see.
sorry.
No, that's
This
okay.
would have been
This is
very
super
helpful. And so they'd have seating here for socializing, and then there'd be a TV on the wall. And yeah, if Amanda wanted to do programs back here, then you could have the
Sure.
privacy screens.
I was picturing them all along, that's why I was
I
just
was
wanted
too,
to see.
so I'm
Yeah.
glad,
That would be
yeah.
really
I
good.
was-
Poor descriptions on my part.
No, and that
I was
can you
picturing
put
the
this
same
in
thing.
so we can all see it in the packet on Tuesday?
Oh, yes.
To have a
Yeah.
better.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oops, sorry.
Is this the most helpful one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, definitely.
absolutely. Good. Or maybe I should just take a photo of what Michelle drew and put it in. I feel like that would be.
I erased it so nobody knows.
Does this company do residential too, or is it all business?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're pretty neat.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're used for them, but.
Okay, so I'm going to add this to the packet. I am going to figure out what the contractor would cost to have to do the railing install. Okay. So this project it's so beautiful, and I'm so excited at the hard work that Amanda and Jolynn put into really gathering the data, seeing specifically what the teens need. I think that they're just going to go nuts for
Well,
it.
she's so visual. I have a feeling that this is going to be really quite a interesting, and I mean that in a nice way, spot.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
the only comment I have about the 46,000 is, if I remember right, if a project is under 50,000, can you or can you not? It's not considered a capital item. Is that?
No, it's 5,000.
Oh, never mind.
Sorry.
I wish the project was only 5.
Never mind.
Much easier.
Well, at least I got the 5 part right.
Yeah. No, it's funny you mentioned that, because when I was first being a director at the university, I remember trying to get capital project money, and they kept telling me that number, and I'm like, but why? Who made up that number? That's frustrating.
And then here you are.
Yeah, and here we are. I think though that there is the significance of 50,000 has to do with purchasing in the operating budget. So that may be where that number came into play for you.
Well, it could be, but I guessed. So.
Yeah, if I spend 50,000, I have to ask permission first.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't planned for.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying, is that I thought you had to ask permission in a capital plan if it was
Yep.
50 or more, but obviously it's not.
Well, and we do have to ask permission anyway. The whole point of this number is that I'm getting these recommendations from the library board, and this is what the library board is recommending, and then the council can approve or deny it. They're the final say on how the city's money gets distributed. So once they approve it, then that's their stamp of saying, yep, you don't have to check with us again. This is what we're spending.
Well, of course, this year is like no other, So.
This year is like no other. Now the lucky thing is that capital money comes from the landfill, right? The landfill funds, and the landfill
is chugging along.
has not suffered from the pandemic. So
Yeah, true.
operating budget may be another story, right? But in terms of because that's more connected to taxes and things like that. But in terms of capital, fingers crossed. All right. Anything else about the young adult area? I will include that map and try to get that final number.
I think it totally makes sense to keep the carpeting
So just
within the project.
Perfect. Okay, that's very helpful. I appreciate
I would
that.
put that in, yeah.
we're going to include the carpet in the project.
In the teen area. Yep. That's,
So does that doesn't take 9,000 out of 116? though?
it does not, no. Yeah, I just have to bump up the 54,000 from my final number to the 55,800 plus a little bit for the contractor. So I will make that change. And then the service desk redesign. And so that, like I said, we're hoping to coordinate with the change in the carpeting, because it's a good time to do that. Where did my document go? There it is. And we did get a few updated numbers for that as well. So the first page is still accurate, but the second page, here it is.
This one's MIA too, so.
Oh dear, I'm
Yeah,
so
these are the
sorry.
pages we don't have.
This is not my best showing here in terms of packet preparation. But the document basically that you would look at is up here. So the state of the union on the reference desk is that it's 20 years old. It is, I think it knows I want to replace it because 3 parts of it have broken in the past month. and it just feels threatened and it's trying to retaliate with its dying breath, I think.
That's not the best way to do it, though, is to break yourself.
Right, I know. So the goal of the new service desk is to fill the same footprint. The location of that desk is incredibly important because it's sort of equidistant. It's sight lines to the front doors, sight lines to the circulation desk, because we often are sort of like coordinating with each other, close to the children's area, close to technology. So there's really no reason to move it. There's no reason to shrink it either, because we end up taking up the space. We have a lot of stuff to store when we're giving away things, summer reading, documents, having to store like recycling bins, things like that. So it's going to be the same footprint. The workstations, the greatest benefit is they're going to be relocated. So right now, if you think about when you come in the library, my staff, they're sitting facing the puzzle table, which is not exactly the highest traffic service point that we have, and the children's area, which is a reasonably high traffic service point. But what we're not doing is we're not facing the technology and copy print station, which is very high traffic, and we tend to get lots of questions from that regard. And we're not facing the front doors. And that's a security issue, having to rely on your peripheral when people are approaching, security issue, but then also it's just a service issue, right? I'll admit it, sometimes I get deep into paperwork, and then there's somebody who was being really polite, and they don't say anything, and then I see that they've been standing there for a while. So for those reasons, and it's not so simple as to take our existing broken desk and just move them, because the desk's at different heights, and so the computer station and where the technology is, you can't just move the people. So redesigning the desk will allow us to shift the workstations for the service points, which is just really beneficial, and for security. Having it be one height all the way around, we just notice too many times where people are peering over or trying to talk to us, and
little kids constantly try to climb the front of that desk so they can see us.
Yeah.
we're interesting people. We're like zoo animals. They just really want to take a peek.
I don't know. I think it looks old. That it's.
Yeah.
I don't know what material would it be made out of if not wood, though? Would it be more like a
Probably laminate, high quality.
or a metallic looking, or a
Laminate.
combination thereof, a little more modern to?
Well, considering the design of the rest of the
Exactly.
adult area, I don't know how modern you want to go, because everything, the shelving is not going to change.
That's true. That's true.
So,
That's
but, it could be something in oak or whatever, but with some little more modern attributes.
Yeah, it's showing its age, just like the chair of this committee.
Gail.
So, that's my humble opinion. It sounds like we've got concurrence on that one.
And one of the, I'm sorry,
Oh, go ahead.
one of the things that we as staff find really frustrating is we're sitting in front of the computer. You have the keyboard, and then literally you have this much space to work. I'm constantly working out of my lap.
Yeah, you can't get a piece of paper
No.
there, yeah.
So I want my computer in the corner and then be able to work here
Yes.
and have space, or work here and have space.
Right.
It's incredibly frustrating to work in 4 inches.
Yeah.
And you can't really swivel those computers either. I mean, there's
No,
no
because the desk
flexibility at
next
all.
to me is high.
Yeah, yeah,
There's no place to go.
yep. Yeah, so it needs to be more technologically friendly as well. Yeah.
Elka has been kind enough to sort of contact these companies and get 5 quotes. The document you have in front of you is based on some of the updates. So we sort of have some ranges in pricing, but it seems to be somewhere between $25,000 and $37,000 will be most likely the price point. So just waiting on a few more, and of course we'd pick the one that meets the needs and also hopefully is not the diva of the ball. So.
So does the Brodart quote include shipping and install?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So yeah, when I say like 37, like I honestly think it will probably, hopefully, it shouldn't be more expensive than hopefully that 33.7. I threw 37 in there just to round up in case there was some crazy feature that came with one of these others, but that Nansen Group one that came looked very reasonable, and so.
But do we have an estimate for shipping and installation?
Not yet, he's getting that to me. I asked him, that's a Canadian company,
Oh,
so I don't know.
Just asking because I could
Yeah.
have had probably thousands of dollars for shipping all that.
Yeah, for a desk, yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
Do you mind making a note just that saying the road art one includes shipping and installation?
that is a great point. All right, let's see, where's,
Sorry, those details just help me.
no, that's incredibly helpful, and
And
this,
they're one of the, I can't remember which one, I think it was the Brodard gentleman, was saying, well, you know, these pieces it'll come in pieces, but we need a door X feet wide. And I said, well, we don't have a door like that, so you'll
Yeah.
have to disassemble those pieces.
Oh, okay.
Oh, boy.
Because, you
and
know,
what did
we
he
just
say
have
to
a.
you?
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yes or
Pretty
no?
much, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he said, yeah, then I guess we have to disassemble pieces, because the widest door we have into this building, much to George's chagrin, is 36 inches wide?
Oh, yikes.
I don't.
So, you know,
Another
a
thing
hunk
Greg
of
didn't
desk,
think of. Huh?
especially
We asked him, we should have said,
Right.
he said, oh, it was lighting. Well, guess what? It was also a door.
Yeah. All right, making a note to add that Brodart includes shipping and handling.
Just speaking of Greg, when you do these kinds of things, do you ever use him as a resource to maybe, that he might be able to get deals that we wouldn't get as a library?
I have not used him yet. He did reach out to me once when he saw that we were going to redesign the teen area.
Mhm.
But I was concerned that an architect would bring really high costs to a project.
And I don't mean him design, I'm just saying as a favor, hey, we're looking for service desks. Do you have a really good vendor that you work with? I mean, like more as a resource in that regard.
They used LFI, Library Furniture Incorporated, or whatever it is, for the children's area.
Okay.
So that's
So
one of the companies.
so there can't be that many of those companies, right, anyway, are there?
Ain't that many, no.
And we picked a couple of these companies because we have a cooperative purchasing agreement.
Oh, you do?
That we
Okay.
buy
Then
into?
never mind.
So
Just was a thought.
in theory, there should be vendors who work with us in this group. Yeah, no, it's a good question. That's what I use Gary for quite a bit. The contractor, he's been very kind to me because I'll send him emails and say, "Is this possible to even do this?" So, for Greg, so far I haven't had to reach out to him.
It was just a
but
thought, because his name just came up, so.
yeah, it's good to build those relationships, though, for sure.
Okay. Are
So,
we all in agreement that's a good line item? I
Yeah.
get the feeling we are.
Absolutely.
Any
so
discussion to the contrary?
So sorry, that's the one for 2021, so 2022 is circulation?
correct.
Okay.
And that number, I'm sure, is going to go up because if the reference desk is coming in at that 20,000 was just a placeholder. Apparently, I'm very bad at guessing how much a service desk costs. One of the things I'm going to try to do better in the future is I leave these numbers as placeholders, but they're just really rough estimates. I'm going to try, even though they're 5 years out, to actually get at least a closer number than my random guesses. So the numbers that are 5 years out, when they come closer, there's not as dramatic
Maybe
of a
just
shift.
put them on the high end, too,
Yeah.
so, because then you hopefully can always come back down, but it's harder to go up.
What do you think Brittany had 15,000 in that?
Okay, all right, any comments, specific or in general, or are we good?
Good.
Hearing none, what do you need from us?
This is, it's a committee, so it's not something, it's not a committee that has authority, but it would be nice to have an endorsement of the projects from the Strategic Planning Committee. I think that would be helpful. And I don't know about your thoughts, but I would enjoy the support in prioritizing the young adult project as well. if things come down to the wire and for some reason we can't ask for everything, I would like the strategic planning committee's support and then hopefully the full library board support to sort of, when I'm there in council, to say, if things are getting into a negotiation, be like, this is the project that we want to prioritize over everything.
I'm not saying this is a good idea, I'll just float it out there. Might it be a good idea to prioritize all 4 items so you kind of know what, or do you really think it's not going to be that bad?
I don't think it's going to be that bad, but I just want to have, I don't want to ever speak for the board about something like that. Well, the board thinks this is the best project, so I'm trying to hedge my bets and be able to speak on behalf of you if it comes down to it. But I don't know if it will, but we'll see.
Are you looking at that to be in the form of a motion? A motion to endorse, or are you just looking for kind of a verbal endorsement, or what would you prefer?
I think a motion.
It's non-binding for reasons you mentioned earlier.
Yep. I think a motion to endorse with priority to the young adult area, if need be, would be very helpful.
Okay. All right. Well, then I guess I'll do that. I will make a motion to endorse the 4 line items in the 2021 capital plan with specific preference as top priority the young adult area redesign. That's a mouthful, so you got it on tape anyway.
I'll second.
Okay. Got a second from Michelle? Any discussion? Do you think we had that ahead of time? But hearing nothing further, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously.
All right. So I will work to get those final tweaks to numbers and get those. I'll add those asterisks and additional information. Your perspective is always incredibly helpful to make this an even stronger and more helpful packet for the full library board. So the work you do is incredibly valuable, so thank you for taking the time.
Well, back at you at times. A million.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, then I think...
I need the agenda.
Oh, I'm
prepared.
sorry. You bet, you bet. And hopefully by next Tuesday I'll have a better...
Okay, so...
Well, that's the old one.
That's
isn't
the
it?
only
This-
line item tonight?
No,
so,
I think-
There it is. Okay, gotcha.
So, are there any additional communications or miscellaneous businesses authorized by law? Hearing none, looking for a motion to adjourn.
We'll make a motion to adjourn.
Camille has made the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Michelle has seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, motion passes. We are adjourned at 6:15.
You forgot to ask about extensions.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.